Incidents like last night set us back as a city, and it evokes fear. Our young people have to understand that they should not attend these unauthorized events that have been advertised on social media.
It's Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson after a deadly couple of shootings, leaving scores of people injured and one dead. Investigation continues. It is Illinois in Focus Daily with you each and every weekday morning. I'm Greg Bishop, and you've got Chicago violence and the state's end of cash bail coming into clear detail as we continue to look at what happened over the weekend, where early weekend violence erupted as you had revelers taking in the holiday spirit. Here's just some of what that looked like Friday in Chicago. This was during the Christmas tree lighting ceremony at Millennium Park, and you can see tons of people out there. Beautiful evening. Oh my gosh, couldn't ask for better conditions in Chicago Friday night for that tree lighting ceremony. People obviously having a good time, listening to music, watching the tree get on display. But violence eventually broke out Friday, where you have the reports coming in. They anticipated potential disruptions due to social media posts warning about some so-called teen takeovers. That's large unsupervised gatherings of young people, and there were 2 shootings that ended up breaking out. 7 wounded, all teenagers in the first shooting. The second shooting happened about an hour later at about 10:40, where a 14-year-old was shot and killed multiple times. You've got an 18-year-old that was injured in the leg, and clearly this happening after a seemingly successful holiday gathering downtown. You have the concerns being raised about public safety in Chicago. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson had this to say.
Incidents like last night set us back as a city, and it evokes fear. Our young people have to understand that they should not attend these unauthorized events that have been advertised on social media. They are extremely dangerous due to the number of individuals that may be carrying weapons, and as much progress as we have made, there are still far too many guns on our streets. For these young people who have engaged in these incidents, you have put yourselves and your friends at risk. Because of the reckless behavior of a few individuals, we have families devastated, and our downtown residents are hesitant to leave their own homes. I'm the first person to recognize that we have more work to do in this city to provide safe spaces for our young people. But these type of violent gatherings can never be an alternative, nor can they be normalized. We need parents, guardians, and other responsible adults to do their best to accompany young people in large, unsanctioned gatherings where weapons are likely to be present. There's always more we as adults can do to make sure that we know where our kids are and what they are doing. I recognize this feels like emotional whiplash. After this incredible celebration last night where thousands of people gathered, Chicagoans who were enjoying our tree lighting ceremony expressed their love for our city. It was peaceful. It was a joyous evening, a vision of the best of Chicago. The holiday season is a time when we come together as a city. It's when we spend time with our families and our loved ones. This is the opposite type of behavior that anybody wants to see. And road that we have to build the city that we all want to live in. We will continue to pray for the victims and their families. We will continue to pray for our city. This is an ongoing investigation, and we'll provide the updates as we have them.
The mayor laying out that obviously the city of Chicago is praying for the family as they work through a pretty tough time of that 14-year-old that was killed. President Donald Trump seeing this in the headlines, posting onto Truth Social, massive crime and rioting in the Chicago Loop area. Multiple police officers attacked and badly injured. There are reports of hundreds of police being on the streets during this time because, again, they brought more police onto the scene after they got indication of a social media promotion to gather people together. But Trump goes on to say 300 people rioting, 6 victims shot, 1 critical, and 1 dead. In the meantime, Governor Pritzker and the low IQ mayor of Chicago are refusing federal government help for a situation that could be quickly remedied. The people are chanting, "Bring in Trump." And you have seen in the past, as we've covered here with Illinois in Focus, the ongoing conversation that some in Chicago have of bringing in Trump, bringing in more feds, bringing in even the National Guard. That entire situation is being tied up in the courts as you've got the efforts of the Trump administration to try to use the Guard to assist in enforcement of federal immigration law to keep assets of the federal government, property and personnel, safe as they conduct federal immigration enforcement. Still a lot of things to do with that, and that story's pages keep turning. So we'll obviously stay there. But the issue of public safety in Chicago, obviously after Friday and the deadly shooting, two separate shootings, teenagers across the board injured there. Earlier, you had another individual who went to the CTA line and lit it on fire, including one individual that is in critical condition last I saw reports. And this has led to questions even for Governor J.B. Pritzker about the Safety Act and no cash bail, because the suspect in this case that was arrested for lighting somebody on fire inside public transportation in Chicago had dozens of previous arrests. I've seen 40, I've seen 70, I've seen it reported multiple times, but clearly that was a individual who had been arrested before in the past but had been released. Governor J.B. Pritzker being asked about this on Friday, and if there's room to change the state's no cash bail policies.
The Safety Act is designed to give judges the ability to keep people in jail who they think are potentially dangerous for the community. So it is the judgment of those elected judges that ultimately determines, in most cases, whether somebody is released or not. And it's a better way, by the way, than bail. Because bail is sort of an automatic out for people who just happen to have enough money, and an automatic incarceration for somebody who happens not to have enough money. Rather use judgment, good judgment, in most cases, to keep violent criminals or people who have mental health problems. And it's my understanding, at least all the reading that I've done, I don't know more than that, that this person seems to have had some serious mental health challenges. And so that's another aspect of what I think judges need to take into consideration. I want to make sure that we are providing the kind of mental health that should be available to people who need it, and especially somebody who has the potential for, or who has in the past committed some violence. Yes.
The reporter, if you can't hear, is asking a question about some cases where a convicted murderer was ultimately released, even though he served his time previously, but was released on a separate charge and ended up punching somebody in the face, and prosecutors are saying there's big problems.
Of course, if there are changes that need to be, look, we do this all the time in Springfield, right? Where there are laws that have been on the books for 20 years that need tweaking because there's something that somebody missed in the original, writing of it. And so always willing to look at that. I can't speak to the specifics of that case that you're raising, but just to say, of course, and I've said this about the Safety Act before, and about really every bill that gets passed in Springfield. Sometimes bills get passed and everybody that votes for it knows that there needs to be a trailer bill or a tweak that needs to be made afterward. So I think everybody is open to listening to what changes might need to be made.
So the governor taking those questions Friday, but that was in reference to the CTA attack of a person on the train being lit on fire by somebody who had dozens of previous arrests and was let go, in Illinois being the first state to end cash bail. Now, the end of cash bail has been criticized by Republicans in the state of Illinois. They've called for it to be completely reversed and for cash bail to be reimposed. They say that if it's going to stay in place, they need to broaden the detention net, the list of offenses that automatically keep somebody behind bars pending trial. You have a right to a speedy trial in the U.S. So, can you be held behind bars and to get that speedy trial? So, you've got Republicans saying either end it or modify it. And even President Donald Trump has sounded off on Illinois' no cash bail. Got to check on where they're at with their review of jurisdictions that have ended cash bail. and what kind of financial resources federal taxpayers could withhold from the state of Illinois for having no cash bail. But Governor J.B. Pritzker obviously defending it, saying that there can be tweaks. But we've seen this brought up where Republicans say they have the tweaks, but Democrats who are in control of the legislature aren't allowing for those tweaks to even be discussed in committee. So is this going to change things, right? The violence that happened on the CTA train with somebody being lit on fire, somebody, the accused individual there being charged with terrorism, and also having dozens of prior arrests, to what happened Friday in Chicago around the holiday tree lighting party, and 2 separate shootings, one 14-year-old dead, scores of other teenagers shot and injured. Governor J.B. Pritzker saying, yeah, the perception about public safety in Chicago, these I guess he's indicating it's an isolated incident, kind of like Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson said the CTA train fire was an isolated incident, and Pritzker says that Chicago's safe. I need to double check the audio there. I'm seeing that it's not necessarily coming through as maybe it should. Let me change the channel here on that so that you guys could hear it better. Apologize, this is live to tape as we go live each and every weekday morning to get you the latest here. So let's see if we can better hear Governor J.B. Pritzker's response to the issue of the perception of public safety in the city of Chicago after these high-profile and alarming incidents.
Look, wherever there is a horrible crime that is committed, and they happen all over the country, it doesn't show a positive light on wherever it is that crime occurred. Chicago, because the President of the United States regularly stands up and attacks the city of Chicago and says that it's on fire, and that every neighborhood and every community of Chicago is a dangerous place to be. When he does that, anytime there is a crime, and especially one that's this horrific, it tends to get amplified because of his words. I don't diminish what happened on the Blue Line in any way when I say that crime is down in the city and the state. What I am saying is truthful. It is also true that any crime that occurs, and especially one like this, is one that we ought to be going after, that we ought to be investigating, and we ought to holding people accountable for.
So again, the governor saying that one high-profile crime doesn't mean that all places in Chicago are dangerous. But that was Friday when he made the comments, and then later in the day on Friday, a place where you figure would be safe with hundreds of police officers, revelers celebrating the holiday season would be safe, but there were 2 separate shootings and a slew of teenagers shot, 1 killed, and again, a very public place that you would have thought would have been safe. We'll see how the rest of the state reacts to this. Good Monday morning. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop with you each and every weekday morning here. For more, go to thecentersquare.com.